Hi guys, I want to make sure I'm live. Yep, I'm live. Hey everybody. What's everybody up to today? I'm gonna start a horse series, and I will post a picture of the horse. Hold on just 1 minute. I'll make sure that something just did not happen here. I'm not sure what's the deal here. If I'm still live, give me 1 minute. Am I still live? All right, hopefully. All right, so anyway, back to, I'm sorry, technical difficulties. I'm using my, all right, give me 1 minute again. I'm using my computer this time, guys, and it's becoming a pain in the arse. So I don't know if this is gonna work or not. Okay, so this is the photo I'm going to be using, but I'll put a picture of the reference photo in the comments. So now I have to get this. I'm going to try and do two devices at once here in a minute, but I want to get started on this. And the colors I'm using today are from dark to light. I'm using burnt umber, burnt sienna, raw sienna, turquoise blue, red oxide, black, and white. Okay? So I'm just going to start on that background. I want to kind of start it with light because I want him to stand out. So I never know how to hold these things. So I'm just gonna, it's kind of awkward here to try and get in there. So I'm just gonna get a color on there for now. If you see my setup, you'd understand why it's weird why I'm painting like this. It's just strange. So I just want to get a base color on and make sure I paint the sides, and I hope my arm is not going to be in the way all the time. So if you have these short bristled brushes, you can actually scrub the paint into whatever you want, and then you can get that, you don't get the lines. So let me finish this up here, and I'm going to go into getting a different, let me get that bottom real fast. So this is going to be first of 4 horses in this horse series. They're all headshots, pretty much headshots, because I just wanted to do close-up pictures. Of their faces. And they're going to be abstract, they're not going to be exact. So, so this is all of the horse. So that. Alright, now I'm just going to bring in some more of the other colors I'm going to be using on the horse, but I'm going to use them maybe light, and I might even add more and more white to them as we go. Now once I start on the horse, I'm going to be starting another device, so you may hear music. I'm just doing a fast reel on another media. Okay, down here I want to stay a little bit dark, so knew that was going to be, I have everything so close to me right now that it's kind of hard to get in there to paint. I might bring in some of that red oxide in that background. And I can always come back, you can always come back and redo this. This is just grounding the painting basically. I'm going to throw in some of this red oxide and see what happens here. But it's just to ground and get some color on there. Now you can come back. When we get done with the horse, you can come back and redo that, paint over that background. But that's all I'm going to do for now. All right, so let's go ahead and start getting the horse done. So I'm going to start with a combination of red oxide and burnt umber. And I'm just going to do loose. I'm just going to do loose. I'm not doing exact. So the body of the horse is going to be right here. And it's, let's see, where's his nose? This is the mane, so I need to keep bringing in that color here. That's going to be his light mane. We'll brush into that. All right, so right in here is a little bit darker. We're just getting some colors in there to show the darks and the lights. And he's got his leg coming in here, or his shadow of his bottom leg. This is called the underpainting. So you want, I'm going to come back to that mix and get the side of his face. Kind of comes up into here, around his eye. I'm just doing the dark spots, say the shadows, with that mix of red oxide and burnt umber. Now over here, I really hope you guys can see okay. I'm not, I can't really see what I'm doing because there's another device blocking my screen, so I'm hoping everything you guys can see. Up in the ears, just do that darker part. This kind of comes up a little bit. Pay attention to where those shadows are, where they start and stop. There's a little bit one up here. And right along in here. And then he comes down into being in gray and black here. So this might be a two-parter. I'm going to use a smaller brush to do his eyes, because he does have this red oxide color in his eyes. But I'm going to still mix in that burnt umber. I hope I didn't adjust this by bumping it. Might even have to go darker than that. But I want to get a color established there. Yeah, it is darker. Now, we'll come back with the highlight later on and add to that, because he does have a little bit of a glisten in his eye on the outer parts. He's got a little eyelash going on here and over here. And he's got some lines. So, got a new liner brush, guys. I'm excited to use it. The lines, I'm going to add a little bit of black to that mix that we're already using now. So the lines go, they're like wrinkles. So they're going to go over that eye. probably use that liner brush again when we get down to the nose. All right, now I'm going to go in and use, I'm going to mix some raw sienna. I see another color I'm going to need. Let me grab that real quick before I go any further. I need yellow ochre. Because I see I want to use that in his mane, because I don't think raw sienna is going to be light enough. It'll just get distorted once I start adding white to it, and I don't want that. So we'll add a little bit to the palette. But I'm going to add the raw sienna right now to the mane so we can see that, and that's going to be the underpainting of the mane. That's just straight raw sienna. Make sure you just keep brushing in the direction of the mane. Because even your brush strokes are gonna give that hint of direction. All right, this needs to be a little darker underneath here. I'm gonna add a little bit of black to that. Burnt umber. And bring in some more dark shadow. That is an abrupt because that's a muscle down there. And maybe one here. Okay. Maybe a little bit behind, under that mane. I'm going to go back in and see and make sure that I have everything that I want here for dark colors. Maybe even go with that black a little bit into the ears that is a darker spot. Okay, we will probably brush back over this bangs. I'm going to call them bangs because we have to put that creamy color in there for the forehead. So I'm going to go ahead and use, now that's the brightest color on here. So I'm going to go ahead and use white and raw sienna and a tad of yellow ochre. And it's just kind of a triangle. And it comes down. It's not a specific shape. And then the rest of his nose over here and the side of his nostril. There is some right in here. There's a streak down in here. And then it goes to the side of his nostril. a little bit over there. And you don't have to be specific, guys. It's just wherever you want to put that color. A little bit up in here on his eye. Just the one eye. It almost looks like he's an Appaloosa, a dark Appaloosa, but I'm not sure. I don't know my horses that well. Okay, so now let's go into a medium mid-tone. And I think I'm going to turn on my other device. So it'll only run for 30 seconds, so bear with me. I'm going to go to a mid-tone, which means an in-between color of this high and the dark. So, but not the yellow ochre. So we're going to mix raw sienna, or no, burnt sienna, sorry. We're going to go burnt sienna and white to get this mid-tone, all right? So here we go. Now it may look pink. I added a little bit of that red oxide, so we probably can. We'll go over this color again, just like in bold color. You always add more and more. So maybe tone down those. Okay. Okay. Give me 1 minute. Okay, that's that. Now I can actually see you guys, see the screen. Now I see another pop-up. I hope this is working, because I keep getting pop-ups. You guys let me know if this is going okay. Hold on. I'm not liking those pop-ups. This might be the last time I use my laptop to do this. All right, so I'm going to go back in and use burnt sienna and white this time without red oxide and go over those colors that we used. Now, I'm going to keep this as a mid-tone, so remember that. So if I'm getting to... It's stuck in my brush wrong. Ugh. Alright. See, even that salmon color underneath, it still gives it, you know, another dimension. So... His ear is flipped weird on that one side. So I'm going to come in around his eyes a little bit and give that. And we'll keep layering this to get it where we want it. The last color we will use, you're probably wondering why I have turquoise. I love brown. Turquoise on brown. So, all right, now let's go into, let's get his nose kind of established. So I'm going to go to a smaller brush, still one of those stubby ones. It's a 5. The first one I used was an 8 bright, and now I'm using a 5 bright. Okay. So I'm just going to mix a gray I'm going to mix a gray up with black and white and a touch of burnt sienna. I mean burnt umber. Another pop-up. Ugh, I'm going to keep going, guys. Hopefully it's still going okay. And like I said, this is the first time I've used my laptop in the insiders group, and so I don't know if it's something I need to worry about. All right, this has, like I said, a touch of burnt umber in it. So I'm just going to bring this color in where that nose fades into that color zone. Let's get his lip. Kind of lost part of it over here. Get his nostril. Bottom of the lip. All right, now I'm going to use more black, same color, but more black, and get the inside of his nostril right in the darkest area. Okay. Now I'm going to use, oh, you know what? I need to go back to that because right down at the bottom, his little lip gets dark. So let's, I'm going to fade that out to a little bit of a gray. And there's a mark in there. Sorry, I keep bumping it. Like I said, it's so close to my hand. It's ridiculous. All right, I'm going to let those colors sit up. We got a good shape going on there. Let's go ahead and go back. Let's get this body worked a little bit more. Do I want that one or I want this one? Now I have a round stiff, and I don't know what size it is. Where's my camera? It's not that size. So, all right, so now we're going to go ahead and bring in some more solid colors. Let's bring in some straight. This is burnt sienna. I'm just going to bring it in where that dark is. Kind of get that to blend. Just like I said, adding more darks to the darks, giving that shape. And look at your shapes of your shadows. This shadow actually connects. Comes down. Get that white covered up. Now let's go ahead and use a tad bit white to that. See if I got what I want here. Kind of. Not quite what I wanted. Let's let that dry. and work on his face. So let's use the burnt sienna again. Burnt sienna, yes. Let's hit those dark spots again. And like I said, don't hit them exact. Kind of loosely brush them back in. Make sure you keep looking at your reference photo. This shadow comes in from the eye. Actually has a really dark shadow on this side. I'm assuming the light source is coming from that direction. Let's brush in that shape a little bit more here. I would go ahead and bring your colors down into the nose because we're going to keep layering back and forth and back and forth. So that eye, I need to bring in more. Let's bring in that dark to this side. Back up in here. Now I want to bring in that cream again. So actually I'm going to use yellow ochre and white. Okay, and his white comes in here. Actually comes, I'm going to go ahead and let that blend into that. Because it does come up that one side. And we'll probably work on his mane last, just to give it final touches. There's not much. Okay, let's go with a little bit more white on the color we were using, and just give him a little bit of depth here, a little bit more whiteness, more cream. Now if you lose your shape, don't worry, you can come back and bring that line back in. But so far I don't think I see a problem here yet. Let's bring this highlight down into here. There is a highlight here. these are just shapes, basically, because they're just lights, highlights and lowlights in the fur. It's catching the muscle tone of the horse. And there's a light right there. I don't know if I want to get that in there, but that is the front chest. That's the front leg, and this is the front chest. So it's almost a fine line of dark and light right there. So now I think I'm going to bring back in some burnt sienna. I'm going to brush that back. I might do a little bit and then let it dry a little bit. Because I have to bring this in sharper, so more sharp. So we will redo the background because he is blending too much, I think. We're probably going to go really light on the background, depends on how much of a contrast he's going to be compared to the background back there. I think I'm going to get my small brush and work a little bit on maybe a little bit of detail. So I want to get that darkness around his eye. So I'm going to go back to your dark brown and black. I'm going to outline that inside of the eye, the eyelid on both sides. And come underneath, there's a little bit of a highlight. This eye edge is just brown, so I'm going to bring that brown out. If you look at horses, their eyes, or even cattle, their eyes bulge out to the side. So keep that in mind. They're not front facing like ours. He's got that highlight right low. So I'm taking a little bit of white, and burnt sienna. Nope, I don't like that. Let's go with red oxide. And bring that highlight right in here, maybe. I'm going very light right now because I'm not sure if I like this color choice for that. They're almost a caramel color, and they're translucent. If you ever look into a horse's eyes, I'm going to leave that just the way it is for now, guys. I may come back and highlight or outline. I'm going to give that one spot a better outline. So give me 1 minute. All right, I have to kind of water that out because it's too much of an abrupt stop right there. And catch it. All right, actually now I see I need to work on the edge of the face. So let's do that. And I'm just going to use my, it's a smaller round, it's pretty small round. And on both sides of the horse, this side's darker, yes, but both sides I'm going to use burnt sienna and a touch of red oxide. So I have to finish that up to his eyeball. A little bit more definition here, kind of, so everything connects. It just wasn't connecting there. Oops, sorry, I was wiggling the cart. And blend that up into there. So I'm not happy with this very light in here. So we're going to come back and use a this, which is raw sienna, and then we will use a lighter, because that was the undercoating of the mane, so we will use an actual lighter color for the mane to make sure we see that difference. So I'm going to just use, see what happens here. Too much weight. So I'm using raw sienna with a touch of white, but I still want, I don't want it, there we go. There. I think that is going to blend in a little bit better with these colors that I already have going. Yeah. It's looking better already, so. You really have to get working on those ears too. shape that one. So I'm just going to keep brushing this in. Actually, I kind of like how it's fading down into it, into that lighter color. As long as you have your values in the right areas, it should all come together. I'm really liking that. Okay, so we have that out. Let's use straight raw sienna and just bring a little bit down in here. Not a lot. Just a little bit here. I'm not liking this here. Let's see. Get that off my brush here. I'm going to kind of brush that back with some raw burnt umber, raw sienna, burnt sienna. I remember my colors, my goodness. Sometimes I get mixed up in all these browns. Alright, this shape should actually go about like that. There. And I want it to fade out. This is a bit too much here. Alright. Now I want to bring back, because I think I got a little crazy here on this side with the lighter colors. So over his eye. His or her eye. There's a good sharp chunk right in there. I want to make sure that I have that shape over the eye. I'm not liking that the way it looks right now, so that is dark up there. This is dark up there. All right, I think I need to come in and make that swoop. But it needs to dry up a little bit. Let's use some of that burnt sienna, and let's come up. Just a little bit of white, just a little bit of white. And let's get that shape of that ear back. Kind of lost that. And this one kind of goes off the canvas. A little bit. Okay. All right. So let's use your black and burnt umber and get those colors into the ear again. Fade them out. Now, where else do you see you're really dark? Right in here there was some, you have to bring in some black with this guy here. And there was a spot over here. Let's go around his eye a little bit. And then it comes down from his eye, kind of in a jaggedy lightning shape mark. Now if you think you've gone too far, don't worry about it. Let it dry. You can always paint over it. But right now I think we're doing okay. We may have to let it set up. Let's go down into the nose. And let's do some different values of gray. So go ahead and mix up a dark gray, a light gray, a dark gray, medium gray, and a very light gray. So have that ready for yourself on the palette. Okay. I'm getting my grays. I accidentally bumped into my brown, so I mixed brown into one. We may use that. Alright, you guys want to see my palette? So right down in here are my grays. Right there. Dark, medium, and light. That's the one with the brown. So let's go ahead, and since I have the light on my brush right now, let's go ahead and get the highlights of the nostril. It comes brushing out this way. The nostrils are light all the way down. And then I'm going to bring it out here. Then this lip, you can see, is a little bit highlighted, and then the back one we'll go ahead and highlight a little bit, but we won't leave it highlighted, but you just want to see it. But there you go, there's that. And so then go to your mid-tone, and you're going to come in onto the top of that nostril and blend that in. And then into that inside of the nostril with that mid-tone into the black, but don't go all the way in. And then your dark, you had your darkest gray, don't go into your black, but you're still gonna have that into the inside nostril, not that will be backing clear up to that black. So let's bring that mid or the darkest gray up. Let's bring that darkest gray to that bottom lip as well. And then let's go a tad bit darker, almost black. And let's outline that lower lip and brush that black up into that mid-tone. And then he's got lines in his, sorry, I keep bumping this. And then he has lines in his nose. So let's go ahead and brush this. I don't want that dark though. Let's use the light and brush this up into his fur, because we can always bring those colors down into his nose again. So I might try this mix that I accidentally touched the brown, and that looks like it's a good highlight. And actually I need to blend that in because the lines are going the wrong way. Alright, so now let's grab some dark, but let's grab a smaller liner brush. It doesn't have to be real thin, but you want it thin enough that you can get a nice line. So these lines, they start down here, and they're just, all right, that was not working. And they're just almost like in an elephant's trunk. They're not straight across, they're kind of wiggly lines, so one right about up in here. And you can tone these down too. So I think I'll use that mid-tone. Oh, got a lot of water in there. I'm going to use that mid-tone and maybe tone that down. So let's, since it's a shadow, it's supposed to be, it's a wrinkle, but you add a shadow. So I'm just going to kind of go underneath here. And now I'm going to use a little bit of white. Oh. I don't want to get too much water in there. I'm going to use this white to actually touch up these nostrils just a little bit. I really want them to stand out because I like them to stand out on the... I'll brush just lightly above those wrinkles, but not too much, because now I have to go on the outside of this nostril. It's kind of needs a little shaping up here. I'm going to add, wow, these brushes really hold the water. I'm going to take raw sienna and white and use a very light mixture of that to line that outside also, just to give it some of that color of the horse instead of the nose, instead of the gray in the nose. So now I think I'm just gonna work around that nose a little bit and bring those colors down into the nose and fade them into the others. Okay. I'm going to take burnt umber and raw sienna and brush over some of these darks. Actually, it's probably the midtones that I'm going to be hitting because I like the darks, but we have too much. I think we have too much. There's not enough contrast between the light and the dark. There has to be a happy medium, and I think I'm missing that. So I think I need to calm this down a little bit with a mixture of burnt umber and it was too light right there. I just didn't like that. And this here, light comes up too high. Actually should be very, very dark right in there. So there, I'm liking that better. Now I'm going to use that same, where'd it go? Right up in here underneath that. Underneath that mane again, because it is going to be dark underneath there. And along here, along there. I guess that muscle right in here though. And this muscle should come down. Trying to blend this out a little bit. Okay. I think we need a little bit more. Well, you know what? we need a little bit more black down into the nose. And fade it out. Okay. All right, we got to work on those ears again. So let's get that burnt umber back in there. We're going to work it just like we did the nostril. It's going to go dark, come out to light. So let's get a little bit of black and let's get this shaped a little bit better. There. So it's going to be darkest right on the inside of that line there. Okay. All right, I'm liking that. So let's go ahead and use some burnt sienna and get that to fade out. I would go back to burnt umber. And go back to black. I'm just working that from dark to light coming out of that ear. So just keep working it till you get it where you want it. Make sure that shadow comes down that ear. There. Looking better. All right, so now I think we need some, I think we need a mixture of burnt sienna and raw sienna. Come around the edges. Okay, now we're just going to work out to raw sienna. I'm going on the tips of his ears here. and slightly to the inside of his ear here. Make sure I grab the right color here. There, now they're looking better. So we're gonna even go as far as a little bit of raw sienna and a touch of white. To give those ears just a little bit of a highlight here where it's needed. All right, I think we're gonna leave those ears alone. I think we need to, let's get the mane on there, and then we are going to work on the eyes and finish them up. Otherwise, I think we're getting there, guys. We should take a break. Should we take a break? So let's, actually, I'm just going to go ahead and see what this yellow ochre looks like here. I'm going to put some over top here. I may have to mix it with something to get it. Let's see what this does. I need it to not be so transparent. So I'm just experimenting right now. I may have to let this set up, guys, because I need to come back with a lighter color. So this has to be completely dry. So I'm going to go ahead and just get this on there. And then we'll take a break and I'll let it dry and we'll come back and finish it up. So. These white spots, be sure to cover up those white spots. Okay. All right, guys, we're going to take a break and let that set. Back for part 2 in a little bit. Bye.